Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're talking about a strategy that is, frankly, the closest thing a business has to just minding free money. We're talking about database reactivation using GoHighLevel. Now, to set the stage, I want you to imagine a business sitting on 847 cold leads. These are people who haven't been touched or spoken to in over 6 months. Most people would assume those leads are entirely dead. Actually, scratch that. Most businesses don't even think about them at all. But today, we're going to explore how reviving a dormant database exactly like that can uncover massive hidden revenue, and we're going to do it without spending a single dime on new advertising.
Think about your current CRM for a second. Whether you're a solo entrepreneur or you're running a massive agency, you likely have hundreds, maybe even thousands of untouched leads just sitting there in the dark. These are folks who requested a quote and never replied, trial users who lapsed, or maybe customers who bought once, had a great experience, and then just kind of forgot to come back. The natural instinct is to assume these leads are dead ends. But let's pause and consider why those 847 people might have gone quiet in our earlier example. Often life just got busy. They lost track of your email or their budget temporarily shifted. The real question we have to ask ourselves is, are they truly lost causes or are they simply inactive?
Okay, let's dive into this, because this quote hits the nail on the head. Your old leads aren't dead, they're just quiet. Every single one of those leads cost you money, time, and serious effort to acquire in the first place. Think about that sunk cost. They already know exactly who you are. They actively raise their hand at least once in the past to say, hey, I'm interested. So no, they aren't dead. They're just waiting for a compelling, highly relevant reason to re-engage with your business. They are literally just waiting for you to start the conversation again.
So, here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll cover the invisible lead gold mine, contrasting audiences, the GoHighLevel workflow, crafting the perfect sequence, staying compliant and safe, and finally, we'll look at some real results and revenue.
Section 1. The invisible lead gold mine.
Ignoring the leads you've already paid to acquire is just a massive financial waste. Think of the Facebook ads, the Google clicks, or the networking events that originally brought these people into your orbit. It's crazy because most businesses constantly chase the next new lead, completely ignoring this graveyard of valuable contacts sitting right under their noses. And the data here is absolutely staggering. Research shows it is 7 times cheaper to reactivate a past customer than it is to acquire a brand new one through cold advertising. 7 times. Reactivation works entirely from your existing contact list, which means your customer acquisition cost for these converted leads is effectively zero.
Section 2. Contrasting audiences.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why that huge cost difference exists. When you're dealing with cold leads, you are starting completely from scratch. There's zero established trust, the acquisition cost keeps climbing every single day, and the friction to get them to convert is incredibly high. On the flip side, look at past customers or dormant leads. They've already cleared that biggest hurdle. They trusted you with their money or their attention once before. Because you have zero ad spend required to reach them, and they've already proven their intent, the barrier to booking them again is just drastically lower.
Section 3. The GoHighLevel workflow.
Let's demystify the tech and dive right into the solution. The automation process in GoHighLevel follows a highly logical, step-by-step setup to build this reactivation machine. First, you've got to clean and segment your list. You're going to filter for contacts who have been inactive for 90 days or more and apply a specific tag. Second, you actually build the workflow. Third, you set the triggers so the campaign fires exactly when you're ready. But step 4 is where the magic really happens, handling the replies. You set up a trigger so that the very second someone replies positively, GoHighLevel automatically drags their contact card directly into a hot lead sales pipeline for immediate follow-up. And conversely, for the non-responders, the system automatically removes them from the sequence and strips their tags, meaning you never nag or bother them again.
Section 4. Crafting the perfect sequence.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because a workflow is completely useless without the right messaging strategy. Now, while this visual maps out a rather aggressive follow-up timeline used for certain hot offers, the exact 3-message sequence we used for those 847 cold leads was actually carefully spaced out to feel incredibly natural. We set message 1 to go out at the 1-hour mark to establish context. Then message 2 was delayed a full 24 hours later. Finally, if they still hadn't replied, the final message went out at 47 hours. It's a precise 3-step dance. So why does a spaced-out sequence like that work so incredibly well? It all comes down to psychology and mimicking authentic human behavior. Using fractional wait times, like waiting 0.3 minutes before message fires, makes the text feel organically typed by a real person.
That hanging question mark on the final message, it utilizes the rule of reciprocity. It feels so personal that people literally feel compelled to reply. Crucially, by spacing out these messages, like that 1 hour, 24-hour, and 47-hour sequence I just mentioned, it allows you to gently throttle the sending speed. This is absolutely vital for spam avoidance. Carrier algorithms are extremely sensitive, and this pacing protects your digital sender reputation, ensuring your messages actually make it to the inbox.
Section 5. Staying compliant and safe.
So, the crucial point here is that because this strategy has such a ridiculously high ROI, it is heavily regulated. You cannot just blast old contacts without making sure your list is compliant. First, you must have explicit, separate consent for marketing messages. Second, your system must automatically process stop replies and instantly opt that contact out. Third, you can only message between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. in the recipient's local time zone. And finally, absolutely no shaft content. That means no sex, hate, alcohol, firearms, or tobacco. Violating these TCPA and CTIA rules can result in fines of $500 to $1,500 per single message. So always protect yourself and follow the rules.
Section 6. Real results and revenue. Let's look at some proof. Consider the online retailer All Beauty. They recognized it was far more expensive to acquire a new customer than to service a repeat one. So, by using predictive data to identify the exact moment a customer was likely to lapse and reaching out at that perfect time, they achieved an astonishing 518.7% increase in revenue. This just proves the sheer scale of the opportunity sitting in an existing, quiet customer base.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the math. This $6,200 metric is the estimated revenue generated from a single, simple reactivation campaign by a local business. But to put this into a much larger perspective, let's go back to that business with the 847 cold leads we talked about at the very start of this explainer. By running this exact same GoHighLevel reactivation framework on those completely dormant leads, they recovered an incredible $10,400. And the most vital part of both of these metrics, this revenue was generated with absolutely zero new ad spend.
Let's visualize that conversion funnel. For the local business that won this 6.2K, they started with just 247 dormant contacts. They saw a massive 24.7% reply rate, resulting in 28 booked appointments. Now, if we scale that math up to our 847 lead story, that beautifully spaced out sequence resulting in 203 replies and a staggering 94 appointments booked. The math scales beautifully when the friction is this incredibly low.
Which brings us to our final overarching takeaway today. Look at the minimal friction. Look at the zero cost of acquisition. If you have a CRM, you are sitting on a hidden gold mine. Your database is not dead. It is waiting for someone to wake it up. So the only question left to ask yourself right now is how much